Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I wanted to talk about my most highly requested consultation when it comes to art and design. And if you've seen the title, you know it's writing and painting on ribbon. Now, people do this for weddings, for bouquets, for around the wedding cake. This is done for birthday presents, for gifts, for just customization, for doing ribbons at schools, for jogathons, things like this. This is just something people ask me time and time again of what is the best to do. And I am going to show you what I have, what I've tried, and you can maybe come to some of your own conclusions, or it's all personal preference. So I'm doing a high end and a low end. This green ribbon is $1 silk ribbon from my local craft store. I'm on the west coast of the US, so this is Michael's. So this would be my low end piece. This is hand dyed custom made silk from Silk and Willow. So this is going to be my high end, and I have different samples that I'm going to be showing that are all in shades of red and burgundies. And they sell little, they sell snips and bits kits that has little tiny pieces that you can practice on if what you need is some high-end hand-dyed plant silk ribbon. But keep in mind that the warp and weft of these is very, very different. So the weave is different. Always put something down because everything bleeds through ribbon. It just does. So here's my first sample piece of what I tried, and this is the $1 satin. And here is, when painting, you want a tiny brush, and I have the Windsor Cotman. Here's a 000, and I want to show you a smaller one. Here's the 40 and the 30. Here, I'm trying to make sure those are on screen for you. And you can see how tiny those are, and you want the smallest brush possible to get the best detail. The smaller brush you go, the more options you have. So those are the brushes I tend to use. Now, I have done acrylic, I have done gouache, I have done watercolor. Watercolor is water soluble. It's gonna smear. It just is. But you use what you have. You need to think what this is going to be used for. If it's something long term, you may not want to use acrylic or gouache or watercolor, because when these are applied, they go on thick, they go on opaque. Yes, you can see them from a distance, but as you can see, they crack and they peel. They crack and they peel. And that's the same for high end as it is for low end. You can see it's already cracked and peeled off. Maybe that's the look you're going for. Maybe it's a Halloween theme and you want the inconsistency, spooky crackle look. But if this is a high-end elegant wedding, I would say maybe go to pen. Now with pens, you have options. I tried a Posca, it didn't work. This is a lid pen in white. It doesn't look too bad. I also tried doing acrylic really, really thin. Painted on thick, painted on thin. The thin looked better. You're gonna have to figure out how to apply that with your hand, the heaviness of hand, so buy a lot of practice stuff. And there's different types of acrylic. I just use the regular white titanium, but there's also a heavy body. If all you have on hand is watercolor white, just keep in mind it's gonna break apart in water. The pens, I will show you what a Sharpie does. Again, lay down a surface, Sharpie bleeds through. So if you're drawing with a Sharpie, my example was a G, because once you do it, it just keeps bleeding. It keeps bleeding. This is an ultra fine point. If you don't mind the bleeding, if you don't mind the smearing or the smudging, that's what that looks like. It keeps moving long after you've done it. So if you're writing really small, if it's narrow ribbon, this may not be for you. Again, the smaller the tip point, the more control you have, and that's what you want. For gouache, This is the one I was using, the Holbein. All right. I tried all my pens, and the one that I liked the best was actually the gel pen. It had a lot of control. I didn't notice a lot of bleeding with it. And it looks like, it looks faded almost, like a bleach pen or something. It looks really delicate. And I really like how that looks on the silk. This one's a tough color. For something this color, you would have to do multiple, but you know it's not gonna crack over time. So if you're saving this as a keepsake in an album or something from a wedding, and here's the Jelly Roll, the Sakura Jelly Roll pens. And I have the blue, which is in an 08, and the Jelly Roll, which is a 10. I also tried, because I wanted to see what it would do, a metallic. Don't use metallic, and I'm going to show you why. It looks beautiful. You think, oh wow, it's a shade darker, but whatever's in the ink component breaks down and the oil bleeds out around it. So it sounds cool in theory, having metallic ink, but it gets too oily. Let's see, here's a spot right here. I don't like the oil. The oil looks gross, it looks oily. So I would say for your budget, Jelly Roll pen and just a regular titanium acrylic, but you have to put it on really thin. The high is done really, really thin, and the AC for acrylic is done thick, and it's cracking. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? Oh, I hold this down. This is the 3M Delicate Surface Tape, but you can use the green frog tape as long as you peel it up very delicately. As you can see, this has a ragged edge. So if I make it a little more ragged with my tape, it's not a big deal. Take it easy, take it slow. This is not a quick, fast process. Writing or painting on ribbon is a lesson in patience. So just focus on the letter you're doing on and then go to the next one. Do not get bogged down on all you have to write. Again, this is the acrylic, but the longer things that you write, so you can see it flaking, it gets overwhelming, especially if you're doing really long romantic poems or something. It can get overwhelming. Also, if you're doing different stylized letters, I would say go to a font webpage like DaFont and see different calligraphy styles, like whether you're doing your A's differently. There's different ways to do that, and visually having something that's a constant reminder kind of helps with putting it together. Are you doing it in print or are you doing it in cursive? If it's for a child, I would probably recommend doing it in print. Cursive looks elegant for wedding stuff. Here it is on this style of silk ribbon, and this has a different weave than this one. And you can see the different Jelly Roll pens. This is one pass. It looks really, really pale. If I keep going over it, it does get a little darker, and I have more control, and there isn't a lot of bleed. So I would say pen, really tiny paint, but really, really thin. Super, super thin. So I'm just going to take it directly from the tube. And you have to learn how to control really thin, and practice. Have some scraps. Silk and Willow sells, it's called Snips and Bits, and you can buy little tiny practice pieces, or before you buy something bigger. If it's $1 satin from the craft store, sometimes they have discount bins and you can get some off colors cheaper, just to practice your hand lettering. because that's what this is gonna be. It comes down to that. So good luck, have fun, put on a podcast or listen to your favorite movie or some music in the background because you're gonna be there a while, and enjoy. And you can tag me on Instagram with your finished creations. I'd love to see them. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.